What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Once again, we are out here at my shop in Mesa, Arizona, and I've got a little bit of a break. I've got 1 day of free time to be able to either A, just kind of go kick it in the house and watch TV all day and not do anything and relax, or get out in the shop and get to work. So I chose to get out in the shop today, get to work. I have been neglecting Chevella for a very, very, very long time. I feel horrible. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I used to drive this car almost every day when I lived in California. This thing was parked in my driveway. If I needed to go to the store, grocery store, auto parts store, I always took my Chevelle. Right before I moved here, I didn't want to have to be hauling motors and stuff back and forth. So what I did is I pulled the 350 out of Chevella and I had an LS setup for it, and I had just bolted it into the car. I kind of halfway finished the car here and got it somewhat running. And you guys have seen some of the other videos. I have driven it around a little bit, but it's had nothing but problems with the HP tuners and the factory ECU setup. So I got an early Christmas present from Sherry. Thank you very much. I got the Holley 550-918T Terminator X Max for Chevella. So I've had a lot of luck with these systems. I know a lot of you guys run the Holley system on your car, and they just work flawlessly. They work. You tell it what you want it to do, and it just does it. So today, we're going to gut out the OEM harness, or OEM style harness with the HP Tuners ECU, which is an OEM ECU that's been flashed by HP. And we're going to put in the Holley Terminator X Max and see if we can't get old Chevella running tip-top today so I can take her out, cruise her around, and I can stop neglecting my favorite car in the collection. So we're going to jump on this, guys. I'm going to bring you along with me. So stick around. We're going to get this thing gutted and get the Holley installed. When I put the conversion harness on this car, I tucked everything way down underneath the fuel rails and stuff. So I had to kind of dig in there and dig everything out of here. So it's going to be a little bit of a process, but I'll get this out here. Also, if you guys can see, I'm running the Lingenfelter, the TRG002, because the OEM ECU that I'm running is 24X and this motor is 58X. So I had to run a conversion deal on that. The Holley doesn't care. You can run 24 or 58. It just doesn't matter. So like I said, guys, we're going to jump back into this thing, get the old harness and ECU gutted, and get back to it. Jumped inside the car. I went ahead and pulled the ECU back. I've got to get the fuse box out and then get some of this wiring clipped away and cut out of here. I've got stuff going over to the brake switch for the lockup and stuff, and a relay here for the lockup. So all this is going to go away, and we're going to make room for the Terminator X. Most of the wiring ripped off of the motor. Now we've got to go underneath the car. And I'm back on jack stands because Chevella's on the lift, and I didn't want to move her. So we've got to get underneath here and drop the starter out, because some of the wiring is attached to the starter for the hot lead, and the crank sensor is behind there as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that out, get the rest of the wiring disconnected, get the harness pulled out, and get back to it. Well, old harness is out. We're gonna open up the Terminator X box here, see what's inside. Look at that, boys. Looks like the engine harness. This looks like the transmission harness. Injector harness with the proper plugs, so I don't have to run these stinking adapters anymore. Battery harness there. Tuning cable. This is your input and output harness. Wideband O2 with the adapter and a bung just in case I need it. And then these are vacuum adapters for the onboard map sensor. We are going to run the external GM map sensor out there on top of the manifold. But yeah, guys, we're going to start getting this thing opened up, laid out, and put in the car. Oh, and the ECU is probably here in the box. Let's get that out and have a look. Cool. Yeah, ECU's there. So I opted to order this without the 3-inch screen because I've done a couple Terminators in the past with some screens, and we ended up using the big screen, and we did not need them. So in this box here, I have a couple of Terminator X screens unused. So we'll go ahead and use one of those for this car. Get the base map set up and get going. So the first thing I'm going to do, since I've got the starter and everything out underneath, is I'm going to go ahead and put the transmission harness in and get that buttoned up real quick. Got the injector harness all tucked back in there and plugged in. And I got the transmission harness plugged into the transmission underneath and already ran inside the car. We're going to go ahead and get out the main harness now, get it unwrapped and unraveled, and start routing it into the car. Okay, so what we're doing next, guys, is we went ahead and got the harness dropped down into the car. And then right here, we have the ignition plug, and it tells you whether it's the odd side or the even side. And then all this stuff's gonna go up to the throttle body and all down to the cam sensor and everything else we need. So we're gonna go ahead and start running this together and tucking it down the fuel rail side and getting it plugged in. I'm gonna bring you guys in here and show you and have you take a look. All right, so like I said, this is the odd side. This is 1357 and then 2468 on the other side. This is gonna plug right into our coil packs. Cool thing is this Holley setup plugs into the factory coil packs, which is awesome. So everything else is nice and labeled. Throttle position sensor, idle air control valve. This is gonna be fuel pressure, so I could run a transducer there so I could watch my fuel pressure. Cam sensor, which is down there in the front. Coolant temperature sensor, and this is for mass airflow, which we're not going to be using on this deal. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, get this harness tucked down underneath here, and then we've got some grounds that go to the back of the cylinder head as well. So Holley makes this setup pretty easy, pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and get everything plugged in and start tucking the harness in. Engine harness part is finished up. Now I've got to move on to the inside. I've got everything pulled into the car. I'm going to get the ECU mounted. And then I have to run the battery harness back out that same hole and come up here to the battery, tie it down. And then I've got to drill a hole in the exhaust to mount the, weld in the bung for the wideband O2 sensor. These headers didn't have a bung. So I know this looks like a mess right now, but I kind of deciphered everything. These are all the ignition and transmission wires that need to go. So they're going to go up under the dash over there. Fan negatives hooked up. And for some reason, when I buy these systems, I hate cutting the slack off the factory harness. So I'll coil this and tuck it up underneath there. These are all your extra inputs and outputs. And I hate, for some reason, like if I ever sold it, I could just clip it right there and it's the factory length. I don't know why. It's just weird. I'm just weird like that. But I'll get all these relays mounted and everything else done. And all I have left to do is run these ignition wires and transmission control wires over under the dash, grab an ignition source, and then should be able to plug this thing in and fire it up and do some programming. Look who I got. I got my daughter out here helping me. She's holding the light and kind of showing me what to do. But this thing's so easy to program, guys. I'm going to have her do it. I'm going to show you guys when we're ready to program this.
We shall see.
We shall see. Brianna's going to do it. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right, Brianna's going to program it. So go ahead and turn the key to the on position. One. There you go. All right, it says, please run the wizard or load a calibration. So click OK. Perform a TPS auto start. Okay. Wizards. And then you're going to go to GCF wizard. All right, guys. Well, you saw that we were working on Chevella. You can see I've now got her up on the lift. We got the Holley in, and something just did not feel right in the transmission. So we went ahead and put it up on the lift and pulled the pan out. Now, when you look in here, everything looks as it should, I guess. I'm not much of a transmission guy. But if you take a look, you can't really tell from the filter. I hope that didn't drop on my camera. Let's take a look down here in the pan. That does not look good, boys. And this is a brand new 4L60. Fluid smells smoked. Tons of metal shavings on the magnet, as you guys can see, and in the pan. She's definitely hurt, boys. I don't know what's going on. I did contact a transmission guy that I know, and he said there's more than likely that looks like a torque converter failure. And I guess they did have some issues with these torque converters where they were getting them from. I don't know, but Looks like we're gonna have to pull the transmission out, boys. It's unfortunate because I am literally dying to drive this car. This will be the third time I've pulled this 4L60 out of this car. It has less than 100 miles on it, and it destroyed the torque converter somehow. Not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it, and it's gonna have to get rebuilt again. I know 4L60s are weak, they're small, but guys, I've literally have no miles on this thing. Just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and pull it. I would put a 4L80 in here, but the housing's way bigger and you've got to beat up on the chassis of the car right there, and I don't wanna cut this car up anymore. It's already had some holes in it and it's been cut up a bit, so we're going to try to save as much of the originality of this car as we can. So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and pull the 4L60 out of Chevella here, and that sucks, but it is what it is.
All right, guys,
I didn't want to bore you with all the nuts and bolts of it, but pretty much got the transmission hanging out. Got 2 more bolts to take out. I wish I had a transmission jack so I could just do it up here, but I don't do enough transmission work to warrant buying a jack, so we're gonna lower it down here onto the wood plank and then take the last 2 bolts out. We'll slide it back, lift the car off the transmission, and this thing will be out. Back over at the big shop again today, boys, and we got a delivery from our boys over at King Shocks. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and get these boxes opened up. I got a couple open. I'm gonna show you guys what we got inside. Check out those, guys. A 16-inch coilover in the rear and an 18-inch bypass in the rear. So the bypass is already in there. We're gonna go ahead and take these in the shop because the chassis is just about ready. All right, guys, so we're back over in the shop today. Like I showed you, unpacking the shocks, and we are really making some headway on this thing. Shocks are in. We got the mounts done. Wedo's working on some chassis stuff down here, and then Brandon just killed it with tigging. The whole roof is done, all tigged up. We had to add another bar here for the shock mount. Joe's got to add some little bars to, triangulate his whole deal here, but this thing is just coming out sick, and things are starting to happen really fast now. I think before the day is over, we'll be pulling the shocks off and probably taking the motor out, if not tomorrow, and getting this thing ready for Brandon to finish welding. All right, so Joe's working on the upper shock mounts. Wedo's up there tack welding the rip tabs in for the new roof. Joe got the first shock mount bar done. He's working on the second one. And this thing is coming along, boys. Should be ready for powder by the end of next week. As you guys can see, Joe's getting crazy with the shock mounts, making all the bars, and this thing is escalating quickly. We are gonna have this thing ready for powder. I am so stoked. I cannot wait. From this point, the car goes really, really fast. The build does. Again, the front arms and all that stuff are all staying the same, so I don't have a whole lot to worry about there. So just gonna keep on moving forward, boys. Shock mounts done. Just absolutely freaking killed it on those things. They look sick. So got all this done. Got a stinger bar added all the way to the back because these shocks would literally try to rip themselves off the car. So got all the gussets done. Brandon's gonna come in and weld all that. Wedo's working on the windshield bar gussets and the back bar gussets. And I'm about to pull the motor out because this thing's all ready to go. So we'll get Brandon back over here tonight and tomorrow, finish up TIG welding, and then possibly off to powder here next week. So again, a ton of progress today. I got the shocks off the car, got them all boxed up. I was just about to take the arms off, and then I forgot that we hadn't mocked up the sway bar yet because I'm putting a sway bar on this thing. So I kind of tacked up the kit here. This is the sway bar kit. Made the end links. Made the mounts for the sway bar. Here's my sway bar right here, still wrapped in the plastic. But we just need to make the mounts for these now, which kind of go right in this area here. And that one here. Yeah, guys. Sway bar. Oh yeah, you gotta move that back a bit. So we made sure when we took the shocks off, we went ahead and put spacers in here to simulate the shocks and put the bolts back in and tighten them up. That way when Brandon comes in here to TIG weld all this stuff doesn't move. It looked like on my other car that some of these had actually moved at one point in time. So this is gonna be crazy strong. The front's already strong as can be. And guys, this thing's coming along so quickly. It's just about ready to go. Maybe one more day of fabrication and powder coat, TIG weld, and then off to powder coat. All right, well, we just got about most of the fabrication done for the day. Wedo finished the V-bar down there for the center roof bar. Came out freaking killer. And then also finished all the reinforcements in the rear clip of the chassis. That's completely reinforced. That ain't going nowhere. Arms are on, tacked up, ready for Brandon to TIG weld. Brandon just killed it when he TIGged these arms. So good. And then we strengthened the crap out of the back of this car. It's all triangulated the way it should be. We have one more stinger bar to add that goes from here down to the chassis here. If this was a V6 car, we wouldn't add that bar. You don't need it, but because it's a V8 car and it's got that extra weight, we like to add that extra stinger bar down from here down to there. Help support the chassis back here. We do have a lot more, little fabrication stuff to do. I've got to hang a rearview mirror. We've got to build the skid plate. There's a lot of little stuff to do still. Like I said, we're not only just redoing the roof and redoing the car, we're making it right. We're going through and Joe's finding all kinds of things that were done on this car that were wrong. And again, like I told you guys before, this is not a San Limo. I mean, it is, but it isn't, right? So it's gonna be a San Limo. Joe did not build this car. This car was 99.9% sure none of it was done at San Limo. Somebody probably copied it. And then I've had a bunch of stuff added and taken off over the years. There was some other bars. This car used to be it had a bus transmission, and then it had a turbo Nissan motor in it. And then somebody had put an LS in it after the turbo Nissan crapped out, and they added some bars from up here all the way to the back of the old rear clip. Joe saw that. His first thing he did was at Glamis Fab and cut those bars off the car. They were, anyways, we won't go back to that. But anyhow, guys, this thing's getting done and done right. I mean, dude, it doesn't get stronger than this. So it's all 4130 chrome moly, all TIG welded, and Joe and Wedo are just knocking it out of the park. We are working our asses off trying to get this thing finished up and get it off to powder. But like I said, we've got Christmas vacation coming up, so we have a lot of little tiny stuff to do. We still have to mount the radiator. We have to do the rear deck bar, which goes across from here over to here. But before we do that, I got to bring a rear seat over and get it mounted in. That way we can see where things are going to land. And, just a lot of little stuff. But we're getting it done a little bit at a time every day. And, guys, I cannot wait. This thing is going to be badass. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is another beautiful sunny day out here in Glamis, California. Joe is snow skiing for Christmas, so I'm out here for a couple of days to watch over the shop for him while he's gone. I'll bring you some cars along the way if any pops up. So you guys stick around and we'll see what comes up. Guys, here's another car that we're going to be switching from STU to Rogue. He just took the first one out there. We got a set of 17-inch brand new Rogues here, and we're going to get them mounted up. We'll show you what it looks like when they're on the car. I'll actually have him drive the car over here once he gets them put on the car. You guys will know the car. I actually used to own it. I owned this car for about 5 minutes. It's one of that Honda V6 car that I was going to keep, and I ended up selling it. The car looks so much different with the Rogues on it. Did you drive it yet, or did you just come straight here? I drove. What do you think? Oh, it feels great. A little different, right? Yeah. All right, so they're back with the Rogues. Car's looking a little flat in the front, but all right. Let's talk about the tires.
They're awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, super nice.
Takes you a minute to get used to how it turns a little different, right?
A little different.
But once you get it,
yeah, I love them.
it's soft, it's light.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big difference. Awesome. Car looks sacked out in the front for some reason.
Does it?
Yeah, it looks like it's down a little bit in the front.
It's wax. That's wax. Let's try it. Bring it over to me.
All right, guys, that's what happens when you don't know you had a fuel filter. I didn't even know. We found it. And, yeah, get another one back in the dunes. Brand new fuel pump was making all kind of noise. All right, guys, so it is day 2 out here at Glamis, and not a whole lot going on. It's been a slow weekend so far. Hopefully we'll get some more carnage in today. But Dave Unknown is out here with Bobby Boucher today. This will be his first time driving it after the rebuild and after dyno tuning. So we'll get a real feel from him when he comes back after a little ride and see how he likes his own car. I love it, but I'm sure he will too. And then our other friend Dave, we call him Sushi Dave. He's got a Honda V6 car. I'm going to show you guys here in just a minute. He's unloading it off the trailer. We're going to put a set of Rogues on that thing for him so he can try them out. And he's going to go ripping the dunes here in a minute. All right, guys, so here's Dave's car. Intercooled turbo Honda V6, J35, Mendiola XDC 2D. This thing freaking rips. It's a badass unit. Little 2-seat car. Kind of similar to the Bobby Boucher car, but with the original San Lomo front end on it. Really nice build. Just immaculate. And that's the name of the car. I don't want to say it, but you guys get it. Rogue Desperados, baby. So this will be his first time trying out the Rogues. These are the tires off of my car. He wanted to try them out, so we threw the rims and tires on. And when he's ready, we got them for him. Uh-oh. I see one car, but not the other. Oh, there it is. All right, I was a little nervous. Well,
It's fun. A lot of fun.
how about you?
Nice.
What do you think of the tires?
A little floaty. Seems like I spun them out once.
Yeah?
I don't know. Got into just a position and jumped in the throttle. Didn't seem to want to grab, but other than that, they seemed really neat. It's a neat ride.
Yeah.
Sure. Real floaty.
Yeah, they are floaty. What do you think of your car?
I'm liking it.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It's got torque for days.
Yeah. All right, guys, so here we are. Speed UTV number 1279. This is a really, really nice example of this car. I mean, I'm telling you guys, these things are not side-by-sides. They are definitely full-on cars. So another Speed UTV at Glamis Fab, another happy customer from Speed UTV. Thanks again, Robbie. It's friggin' awesome, man. We'll continue to help support your brand. And out here at the shop, I want to show you a truck that I've never showed you guys before. This is another San Lomo that Joe built a while back, 4-door. And not too many of these around. I think there was only 2 ever built. And yeah, this is the only truck I ever showed interest in owning. At one time it was for sale, and I was seriously inquiring about buying this one because it was a 4-door. I like that longer wheelbase and that big open area here. So this is Carl from Shock Talks has been working on this thing. He's got it all figured out. Said he just went down Olds at 100 miles an hour in it. So somebody updated it with a Pro EFI dash, got rid of the gauges, which is cool. Made a cover plate for that. So pretty awesome. All right, sounds like Dave Unknown's back. They went for another dune rip. Let's see. There is Bobby Boucher. Uh-oh.
Where is they pointing down?
Both lights are pointing straight down. Hopefully they're just loose. Did you nose it into something? Both lights are pointed down. Oh, they hit something for sure. They're bent. Let me see. All right, Dave. You drove again with the tires. What do you think?
Good, they're nice.
Yeah?
A lot of fun.
Takes a little getting used to, but
Skidding.
yeah. Heck yeah. So we're going to have to put some ride height into Bobby Boucher here. Get it raised up a little bit higher. It looks like he nosed in and bent the lights down a little bit. But again, this car hasn't been tuned yet. The front suspension's not tuned. So we'll get this thing over to Carl and he'll definitely get it handled. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Don't forget you have until December 31st to place that order on theduneaddict.com to get entered to win those Rogue sand tires. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you give us a like, a subscribe, share this video with your friends, and we will see you guys at Glamis Fab.